Hello, this is Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and a friend of mine asked me if I could review how to create a flight plan using the Free Flight Pro app. So this is what I'm going to do. And I've got a sample flight plan here at my favorite park, and we'll just take a look at it. It starts out at point number 1, and starts at 10 feet, goes over 51 feet. Then it goes up to another waypoint, 51 feet, the same altitude, that is. And then right next to it, there's another waypoint, and we'll understand why pretty soon. And then there's 3 waypoints that are pointing at the point of interest, which is 5 feet off the ground at that little resting place along the path. And then it comes back to the middle of the field and then drops from 51 feet down to 10 feet. Now we're going to make one similar to this with all the bells and whistles. So we'll get started, okay? This one's called Demo, but we're going to call ours something else. So we go in here and we go down to the left-hand corner and we click New. If I can get it to click. There we go. I don't want to say what I had, and we're going to go with the Bebop 2, and so we have a blank slate here. Okay, now the way to create a waypoint, well, first of all, let's get over here where the drone was last time. The way to create a waypoint is to just tap the screen, and if you want to make the screen go, if you want to enlarge it or make it smaller, put 2 fingers on it, and you probably already know this. Everybody knows this stuff. Okay, so we'll make a waypoint down here, a beginning waypoint somewhere down here, close to where I usually take off. Okay, and by the way, we can move them around, and sometimes I make a couple of them quite a ways apart, and then I move them real close together because you can't. Well, it's really hard to make an original waypoint next to one right you've already created. So we're going to start out at 10 feet, and we can change that over here on the right by going up and down, but we'll just leave it about 10 feet. Okay, now we're going to go clear across over to the big ball diamond, and we'll tap and we'll create another waypoint. Now it's going to also, unless I change altitude, all the waypoints are going to remain at that altitude. But we'll move this one up to about 50 feet like the other plan, roughly. 49 is close enough. And then let's look at the path, because if we tap on the path, just tap once, we can set the speed, and it's showing 16 feet per second, and that's a nice speed. If we want to go really slow, then we can bring it down or we can move it up, and so we'll just leave it at 16 feet per second. Okay, and that's at 49 feet. Now go up here by the little ball diamond and we'll click waypoint number 3. Okay, and by the way, it's showing us the distance between the 2 waypoints. And when I hold my pen down on the line, okay, then I get this excuse me, I get this menu. I can insert another waypoint right there if I want, just by clicking insert, and then I can move it around because it's going to be its own waypoint. So we could do that, and then we'll go over here and we'll create another waypoint just for fun, right there, and we'll move him to where we want him. And then we decide we don't want waypoint number 3, so we're gonna hold down, we're going to tap on, or just hold it down, and you see the little garbage thing. We can change the altitude there, but we're going to just get rid of it. So now we're back to this. But now let's see, let's look up here to the very begin at the top, and these 2 little, looks like a bear climbing a tree right there. Okay, do we want to land on the last waypoint? I don't usually like to do that, but we could just tap yes, and then automatic progressive course. Well, what is that? Well, I don't like an automatic progressive course, so let's go back and see what progressive is. If I hold down on the line, I have an option of pressing, if I want a progressive course, then I have an option, and the little symbol there says, all right, in waypoint 2, we're looking straight at the other guy, and in waypoint 3, he's looking about 90 degrees to the left. And if we want a progressive course so that he swivels as he goes up to that point, we'll tap the progressive course, and you'll notice the little arrows in between. They show the direction that the drone's going to be on the way up there. Okay, and if we decide we don't want a progressive course, we hold that down and we click on constant course, but we'll leave that as a progressive course. All right, now the reason that I'm putting these waypoints real close together here, all right, now that ought to be okay. The reason we're putting that, I'm putting that waypoint real close together, that's 55 feet apart, but on the map here it looks pretty close, is because we're going to take a picture when we get to waypoint 3, and we're just going to take a snapshot. And when you take a snapshot, that takes care of the leg in between the two, so you won't get any recording between waypoint 3 and waypoint 4. So you got to get the recording back on, and you'll see when we work on the menu. But anyway, so waypoint 4 is it's going to show up again. You'll see. Okay, now let's set a point of interest for all the waypoints to look at, or at least a few of them. So over here, there's a rest stop for people to do exercises along the walking path. We're just going to hold down on that, and we can click point of interest, or close the flight plan. I'm sorry. So we'll make that a point of interest. All right. Now, when it's going to be 10 feet off the ground, but we want it to be real close to the ground, so we'll just make it like 3 feet. Okay. Now, when we're all through, we just tap it, and that's all there is to it. But what we're going to do is we're going to make a waypoint way down here somewhere, and it's going to be 49 feet. And so our recorder is going to come back on at waypoint 4 and go to waypoint 5. So we'll go ahead and tap waypoint 5. Now, let's make it so that those two guys look at the point of interest, which is 3 feet off the ground. So we tap him, and then we tap this guy, and we tap this guy, and they become attached to the point of interest. Now, if we make another waypoint, like if I tap there, oh, come on. Oh, I got to undo that. Okay, never mind. So we're going to undo the point of interest, I'm sorry. And now we can go ahead and continue with our plan, our flight plan. But what we're going to do is we're going to make this point right. We're going to put a point right in the middle of this line. So we're going to insert a point, and he's going to automatically be looking at waypoint 3. Okay, or at point of interest. I'm getting old and forgetful. But we don't want them to be at 49 feet. We want to come down low and close. So we'll move him over here. So he's going to be about half as high as the other waypoints. All right, and so we just go ahead and tap. Oh, well, we'll just undo that. Come down here in the lower corner, like that. Now we've got the point of interest targeted, and now we're going to go. We'll just make a new waypoint over here in the middle of the field. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. So at waypoint 6, we're going to turn around and go to the middle of the field, and we'll be at 49 feet. So that's good enough. And then we'll come back to near where we took off, and we'll bring that. We're going to slide that over close to where we took off, and we're going to bring it down to like 10 feet, like we started with. Okay, so that's our flight plan, and we're going to save it. So here we go. We'll save it as new demo. Save as. We click on Save As. My tablet makes it hard for me to tap down there. Okay. We'll just say New Demo. Okay, we've got it saved. Now we've got it saved. All right, let's go back and look at something here. You notice it's going to take 2 minutes and 27 seconds to fly that route. And let's do this right here. Let's do this one. Let's go over here. And we'll hold down. And we're going to change the speed of that line. Instead of going 16 feet per second, let's have it go 9 feet per second. Okay? Now it's going to slow down as it pulls away from the point of interest. So that's going to be kind of cool. All right. Now over here at the far right of the black line is a menu. Okay? When we go to that menu, all of the waypoints are listed and their altitudes. And down here at the bottom, these ones that have the little marks on the angle. Oh, first of all, let's go over here on the left. On the first thing on the left is the camera, and the next thing down is the swivel, and the next thing down is the angle that we will be looking. We'll set the camera to. Okay. Now, let's go with before we get to waypoint 1, there's a space there, a red space, and we want to turn off recording until he starts his flight plan. So we hold I'm using a stylus. You could use your finger. Hold it in red, and then it brightens up, and then drag it up here. And now it's not going to record when we first take off. It's going to record when it begins the flight plan. Okay. And so we're going to go along like that, and the seconds are listed down here at the bottom. I think that's what those are. It's not important, but anyway. All right, now as we go along here, the first thing we want to do is make sure that our camera angle is correct. All right, so we'll take the green over here, and we'll drag him down to his little space. And we're going to set the camera angle as he climbs up to his altitude. We're going to set the camera angle at, we just tap on it, and we're going to set the camera angle at 2. All right, and the angle speed we could adjust that too, but we'll leave it. You can make it real slow, or you can make it go whatever you want during that leg. So now it's going to be a 2 degree. But if you recall, as he goes to the next one, he's up at 50 feet, and so we want to change that to a little bit more of an angle. And so we'll tap that, and we'll set that at 3 degrees. And that keeps a lot of the sky out of the picture. Okay. Now at this point, at point number 3, we're going to take a photo. All right. So what we want to do is, instead of having red camera, we're going to go with a yellow and bring it over here to right there. Okay. So he's going to take a snapshot. And during that leg between 3 and 4, there will be no video taken. Okay. So it's going to just be a blank. Well, it'll take a snapshot. You'll be able to see everything, but the results of the flight plan will not show any video from the video camera. So I don't like taking snapshots, but we'll just put that in there for fun. Okay, and then as it goes through waypoint 4, 5, and 6, it's going to be looking at the point of interest. Okay, and now let me see. Let's do this. When it gets to point 7, let's pause. Let's have him pause. So we'll bring this down here, and we'll bring it down to right there. Okay, and it says pause for 10 seconds, so we'll let him pause for 10 seconds. Okay, and then let me see. Can we move this over? Yeah. So between waypoint 7 and waypoint 8 after he pauses. Then we're going to go to the last waypoint, and we're going to have him do a 360-degree turn. So we'll come down here and put him right there. And so he's going to, and by the way, we can tap on these. Like if we want him to pause 15 seconds, we can change that to 15, okay? But the circular thing, let's have him pause, let's have him turn really fast. 30 degrees per second, let's change that to 60. So he's going to turn really fast, and let's just have him go 180. Oh, we're going to go like that. Now we go back here, and we'll change that to 180. Okay, and then we click OK. So now we have our flight plan all set up that he won't start recording until he gets to waypoint 1, and then he'll start recording. And between waypoint 1 and waypoint 2, his angle is going to be 2 degrees down, and then when he gets to waypoint 2, it's going to switch it to 3 degrees down. Then when he gets to waypoint 3, he's going to take a snapshot, and then he's not going to record anything until he gets to waypoint 4. That's why we put those 2 points really close together, because if you leave that with a long leg, you'll miss out on a lot of video. And then waypoint 4, 5, and 6 are the camera angle is going to be fixed on the point of interest. And then waypoint 6 to waypoint 7, no special activity. And then waypoint 7, he's going to pause for 10 seconds. And then when we get to the last waypoint, he's going to swivel around. I think we set it at 180 degrees. So if you want something from the menu at the top, you drag it down to the area where it goes. If you don't want something, like say, let's decide we don't want any recording at this point. So we click on the red and we drag it up here, and now he's not going to record during that time. Okay, but let's go ahead and bring him back down and we'll record. All right, now this is going to take 2 minutes and 12 seconds. You can see in the upper left hand corner, and we've got it all set the way we want it. And we're going to drop down, and as we look at the point of interest, and then come back up to our normal height. And I think we've got everything we need. So we need to go into this part and click on Save. And of course my menu is hard to reach with my... Okay, new demo, save. I don't know, I can't tell if I'm getting it saved or not, but we'll just assume that it's saved. Alright, I think it is. Then we'll go back, and we're all through. We'll go back, and we're back at the Free Flight Pro. So, I hope that's helpful. We're going to go to the flying field, my favorite park, and we're going to see how that works. So, stay tuned. Alright, here we go. We're taking off, and we're not to the flight plan yet. This is just getting off the ground, and you're looking at tablet view, and so here we go into the Free Flight Pro, and you can see that I'm about ready to start. So here we go. Now you can follow the track on the big screen, and on the right, lower right, is the flight plan as it's filmed by the Bebop 2. Okay, and then in a little square on the left is what you see while you're flying the flight plan. You can tap on that and get the screen, and tap on, go back and forth. So we're just almost to waypoint 2, and it's up to 49 feet. Now we turn, and we're heading to waypoint 3, and remember, this is progressive, so as we go, the Bebop is turning and looking toward the direction it's going to go at the end, at the next waypoint. Okay, now remember, we took a picture at that point, so we snapped a picture which means we don't have a video until we get to the next waypoint when it goes back to filming. And you'll notice it raised up and got more sky because now at the center of the picture is the waypoint that's 3 feet off the ground. And you'll notice also we're losing altitude because the center point there is 24 feet off the ground. And then it's still looking at that rest area. And then it's rising as it keeps looking at it and goes to, what waypoint is that? Anyway, goes to the next waypoint. And they're going to head toward, now it's going to stay aimed that direction because it's not a progressive leg. So it's going to be constantly aiming in the direction that it was when it hit the last waypoint. And I think this next waypoint is the one where it pauses for 15 seconds or 10 seconds or something like that. So it's sitting there pausing. And then when it does leave that waypoint, it'll start dropping down to 10 feet. And at that point, the flight plan finishes, and we lose all the video and everything. So you'll see I'll zoom in to the screen, what was on the recorded from the screen. So here we come down. We had some teenage boys watching me fly it. All right, now the waypoint, at the last waypoint, the flight plan stopped recording. So this is not real clear because it's zoomed in so close. But anyway, came in for a landing, and the guys said goodbye, and they left. So there you go. Thanks for watching, and God bless.